We've got 18 weeks of Sunday night podcasts, and we're starting right now. Welcome everybody to Fantasy Football Today. Happy holiday. It is Labor Day weekend, but no days off for us. We are working, and we are giving you this, for many of you, it will be a Monday episode, maybe even a Tuesday episode if you're out having some fun vacationing. Adam Azer, Jamie Eisenberg, and Heath Cummings, almost 9 o'clock. LSU, FSU, getting it on right now. So, yeah, it's football season, and we love it. We're going to tell you the biggest ADP risers and fallers in CBS ADP, and we'll react to it. We've got some news and notes for you. Kadarius Toney is going to be ready for week 1. That is 5 days away. Or is it really? I don't even know. 4 days away at this point. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 4 days away. All right. And that's the opener. Kansas City, Detroit. I think I'm ready to stop talking now. What's up, Jamie and Heath? Anybody drafting this weekend?
2 drafts tomorrow. 1 more father-son league, and then my keeper league that I started a few years ago.
Adam, could you share your thoughts on Deion Sanders' first win at Colorado?
You know, I'm glad you asked. Let me read you what I wrote to my friends, my 2 friends.
I had a feeling that you had a take on this.
I said this afternoon at 12:15. This is my Miami friends. We text all the time about Miami. I said, I think FSU and UF are no longer my least favorite college football teams. And my friend responded, Texas A&M, because that's who Miami's playing this upcoming week. I said, I think I want to direct every ounce of sports hate in my body to Colorado.
Why?
Coach Prime. I said, it's all about Coach Prime. He is so arrogant. So I don't know.
Did you not watch him play?
It's the greatest thing that has happened to college football in a decade. Are you?
I can't wait till Florida hires him. What are you talking about?
Florida. He's clearly going to Florida State. I mean, if they even struggle a little bit, he's going to Florida State. Nah, whatever. Good for him. Just joking around. He's obviously, he's Coach Prime, but it is fun. It is definitely he's taken things by storm a little bit, and I don't even know what conference they're in, to be honest with you.
Currently 12? The Pac-12 will be the Big 12 next year.
Big 12. There you go. All right. The biggest ADP risers. Too high, too low. Josh Jacobs is up to 17th overall.
Just right.
I think it'll keep rising a little bit more.
And you're cool with that?
I am very cool with that.
Jamie does not think he should be a first-round pick. Jamie says 17th overall is just right for Josh Jacobs. You're on the clock. Garrett Wilson and Josh Jacobs are staring at you. You took... it doesn't matter. You took Travis Kelce in the first round, so you don't even. Yeah. So what are you doing?
Garrett Wilson.
I'm going Jacobs.
Isaiah Pacheco is up to 71st overall in CBS PPR average draft position. Cam Akers, Javonte Williams, and DeAndre Swift are now behind Pacheco, ahead of Akers, Javonte, and Swift. How do we feel about him at 71? Pacheco.
I've had more people tweet me this year about why don't you guys like Isaiah Pacheco? So I wonder if there's another site or another group of analysts who are higher on him than we are. I just don't think that he has much of a chance at the passing downs role. I think McKinnon's first there and Clyde's probably second. And Mahomes throws inside the 5 more than any other quarterback in the league. So I don't know that he has a huge role in terms of scoring touchdowns. I'm not in on him at all.
Now, granted, there's been a lot of injuries at the position, but do you know what the most rushing touchdowns scored from a Patrick Mahomes running back has been?
It's Kareem Hunt, right? 9.
It might be since maybe the stat is since Hunt. It could be off.
Oh yeah, they haven't had a top 20 running back since.
No, rushing touchdowns, just rushing touchdowns, because that's where he has to win.
I don't know.
7.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me nervous about not being in on Pacheco is I have no Pacheco, is the lack of wide receiver options. Do they throw more to their running backs on first and second down? And he gets 2-3 catches, fairly
Kareem
regular.
Hunt only had 7 with Patrick Mahomes, so that was not even pre.
7.
Yeah. I don't think you can cite the lack of none of these receivers are worse prospects than Isaiah Pacheco.
No, but he doesn't have Juju to throw to right now. He doesn't have Hardman to throw to right now. Those were his leading wide receivers last year. So do the running backs just get
those
more?
Are not the guys. Yeah, I just don't think those guys are that difficult to replace.
Okay. Look, I'm not arguing for it. I'm just bringing it up. All right. George Pickens is up 11 spots to 72nd overall, right behind Isaiah Pacheco. First of all, who do you guys have ranked higher, Pacheco or Pickens?
Pickens.
I'm sure I have Pickens ranked higher. I have no interest in drafting either at the 6-7 turn.
I'm fine with Pickens there, especially when we see the way receivers are going in the drafts we've done the last month.
Oddly, though, Pickens is going ahead of Deontay Johnson.
That I don't like.
He's going ahead of Jahan Dotson, right?
That I don't like either.
Oh, everyone's going ahead of Jahan Dotson. Pardon me. Dotson's going
Jahan. That'd be a pretty cool name.
90th overall. I don't know for Jahan Dotson, something like that. In CBS ADP, he's super low. So he's going ahead. Pickens is going ahead of Tyler Lockett. How do we feel about that?
No.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I think like I had a moment last week or something where I'm in this father-son draft. It's a Scott Fish league, and I think I may have mentioned it, but Lucas had the choice on the clock, and I'm trying not to give him. I'm just like, here's the guys who are available. You make the pick, and he picked George Pickens over Jahan Dotson, and I almost disowned him. But I understand why it happens because there's a lot more videos on social media of George Pickens making catches, and I think that's inflating his ADP.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing. I said that the Chiefs haven't had a top 20 running back since Kareem Hunt. They haven't had a top 20 per game running back since Kareem Hunt. So just pointing that out. All right. Dalvin Cook is up 4 spots to 79th overall. Dalvin Cook is ahead of Khalil Herbert. Would you rather have Dalvin Cook or Khalil Herbert?
I'd rather have Khalil Herbert.
Yep, me too. Another guy that I've just not drafted.
Zay Flowers is up 4 spots to 97th overall. He's a top 100 player, Zay Flowers, and he's ahead of Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas.
Good.
Yes, agree.
Okay. Cortland Sutton's up 4 spots in ADP, but he's still only 114th overall. How does Cortland Sutton, who starts with Las Vegas and then Washington, how does Cortland Sutton compare to Zay Flowers, Brandon Cooks, and Michael Thomas?
Behind.
I think I have Sutton ahead of Cooks and Thomas behind Flowers. And Sutton's kind of a unique case where if you've got a team with some guys that you think might not, or especially if you have a flex situation where you're not sure you have a week 1 starter, Sutton is a much better pick.
Would you start Cortland Sutton over Gabe Davis in week 1? Sutton against the Raiders, Gabe Davis at the Jets.
No.
Really? Why? I can make such a compelling case for this.
But you love Russell Wilson.
But I love Gabe Davis. I mean, this is perhaps the best defense in football. They give up very few big plays. He had 2 terrible games against them last year, Gabe Davis. I just don't know that this is Gabe Davis's week.
Well, one of those was the game where Josh Allen got hurt, and I believe the second one he was already hurt.
He got hurt on the second to last pass of that game.
Oh, you're right. That's true.
Gabe Davis. Yeah. I already did my Jets. I did my Jets Bills research this morning.
Yeah, I don't want to trust Cortland Sutton, to be honest with you. Yeah. Like, I want to see it first. I want to see how long Jerry Jeudy's out.
If only I didn't want to trust Cortland Sutton, things would have been so different last year. All right, what else we got here? Raheem Mostert. He's up 13 spots in ADP. His ADP is 123rd overall. But again, when I see somebody up 13 spots to 123rd, it might mean he's going in the 80s now, in the 90s. I don't even know. So when should we be taking Raheem Mostert?
The 80s is a good place to consider it.
Yeah, I'd prefer round 9, but I think if you got a 0 RB build, he's another player who's very specific to how you've started. If you're looking for a week 1 through 4 starter at running back, then you could slide into round 8.
Mostert or Pacheco?
Pacheco.
Let me tell everybody.
Especially about the situation with the agent where Jeff Wilson may not be out for the entire season.
Yeah. Man, but who do you trust? Do you really trust his agent?
Well, nobody said he wasn't going to play the rest of the season.
No, but
Daniel kind of hinted at they hope to get him back at some point this season, which was pretty pessimistic. But the thing I don't rule out, though, with Mostert is them adding somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder
how Mostert getting hurt week 1.
What? Come on.
I mean,
yeah. All right. Let me tell you about our schedule for the season. Our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday shows are going to record at about 8:40 a.m. around there. So if you want to join us on YouTube, it'll be early, 8:40 a.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today. This week's a little bit different. But once the season starts, Monday is going to be, well, let's start with Sunday. Sunday night. No, let's start with Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we've got a 5-minute episode in the morning to catch up on all the injuries and help you set your lineup. Sunday night, we recap the games while the Sunday night game's in progress. So about 8 o'clock. We start a little before that. We start on Sunday night. Monday afternoon, 2-ish, is Jacob Gibbs and Dan Schneier and myself Beyond the Box Score, advanced stats, and we have some fun. It's a fun show. Tuesday, waiver wire in the morning, 8:30. Wednesday, trade talk, buy or sell, smorgasbord, fantasy smorgasbord. Thursday, starter sit for the AFC home games. Friday, starter sit for the NFC home games. Saturday, mailbag. And then we're back to Sunday. Live streams, YouTube only. YouTube.com/fantasyfootball today. Monday night. Not sure about the time, but Monday night leading up to Monday Night Football. We'll look at the waiver wire, talk trade, whatever you want. Thursday night. Again, not sure of the time. Figure around 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Leading up to Thursday Night Football. We'll answer a ton of starter sit questions. Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. until 1 o'clock p.m., all Eastern. Hour and a half, only on YouTube. YouTube.com/fantasyfootball today. Join us there for a ton of starter sit. What's the Sunday morning CBS Sports HQ schedule, Jamie?
We are on from 10 to 11 as just a full fantasy hour, and then we'll be doing some fantasy content from 11 to 1 as well as part of our NFL preview show.
Okay. And some of the Dave, Jamie, Heath trio will be joining us on the live stream from time to time as well. Biggest ADP fallers. Najee Harris is down, but barely. 1 spot to 36th overall, which I know none of you would do. But I want to bring up the report from Dale Lally of Steelers.com, who tried to shoot down the idea that Jaylen Warren will surpass Najee Harris as the lead back. He says it's simply not true. Najee Harris is the number one. Warren is the third down back. Both will be valuable, but Warren isn't pushing past Harris. What are your thoughts on that from Steelers.com?
I don't think that's inaccurate at all. I don't think we've been approaching it that way. Maybe Dave has, but I don't want to speak for him. But I think for me, I've always expected Najee to be the first and second down guy. Just maybe seeing what happened in Dallas, just from a younger perspective, because Ezekiel Elliott was getting older, but that the second guy is going to look better than the first guy and makes a lot more explosive plays. But still, Najee's going to have that goal line role. Najee's still going to be somewhat involved in the passing game, just maybe not as much as in years, as certainly his rookie season, but maybe not even as much as last year. I think we forget just how good he was at the end of the season last year, and again, it's how you're judging it. Does he look explosive? No. Was he playing through a foot injury? Maybe. Even then, I'm saying, coming back from the foot injury. So it's just a matter of, was drafting Najee or still drafting Najee in the third round, does that make sense? And the answer is no. So it's just a matter of how early you want to get in on Najee and how early do you want to get in on Jaylen Warren. And that the second part of that could be the mistake. Are we running Jaylen Warren up the flagpole too quickly? Because if he doesn't take over the job, then it's just going to have to be an injury before he becomes someone that you could start with confidence.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference right now between him and Antonio Gibson?
Warren?
Yeah.
I think Gibson has a bigger role.
So what I think is really interesting about this Steelers.com, because I can understand that the guy on Steelers.com, he doesn't feel, he's being honest, I think. I mean, I read a lot of the tweets after it. I feel like what he said, he meant that Jaylen Warren's not pushing Najee Harris. If he secretly felt, like a lot of people feel, Najee's just not that good, and he'll lose the job to Jaylen Warren. I think fantasy managers, not everyone, but there's a faction that feels that way, right? So if he felt that way, I don't think he would say that. But,
He gave a lot of examples of previous times that this has been the case, from Jerome Bettis on up.
But what I was trying to say was he said Jaylen Warren is a third down back. And what really was most interesting to me was that was not the usage in the preseason. The Steelers are one of the teams that played their starters a lot in the preseason, and it just wasn't like that. I mean, they were basically just switching off. They were playing in the same role, essentially. It wasn't like he just came in on third down or in obvious passing situations. So that is what really scared me off of Najee Harris and made me encouraged by Warren, because I felt like he was going to have a different role than just being the third down back, which is not what Steelers.com said. They said he is the third down back.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I also remember in the preseason, they probably want to see what Warren looks like in case they need him. Whether it's
Look good, Jamie.
you look great. No, listen.
Yeah.
Again, go back to 2 years ago when you watch Zeke and you watch Tony Pollard. It's a great comparison. Zeke was still getting all this work, and we kept saying we need more power, we need more power. And then last year you started to see it a little bit more, but it was still okay. Zeke's in the way, Zeke's in the way, Zeke's in the way. I feel like it's going to be a lot of that, just not the same production. I don't think you're going to get the type of production from both guys. But I think to me, the preseason stuff is always what are they trying to accomplish? And I think trying to accomplish is if Jaylen Warren, A, is really better, do we play him? But B, in case Najee's not there, can he be the guy on first and second down? And that's, to me, what they were trying to accomplish.
Okay. So don't take him in the third round. Long story short. Other fallers, Mike Evans is down 5 spots to 81st overall, and Marquise Brown is down 4 spots to 83rd overall. So Mike Evans and Marquise Brown now just outside the top 80, and they are behind Brandon Ayuk and Mike Williams. They're still ahead of Jahan Dotson, which I know is surprising. They're still ahead of Jordan Addison, and they're still ahead of Zay Flowers. This is Mike Evans and Marquise Brown. Heath, do you think Marquise Brown and Mike Evans around 80th overall is okay?
I think ADP-wise, Evans is in a pretty good spot. Amongst wide receivers, there are still several going behind him that I would rather draft before him. But even in PPR leagues, receivers going a little bit later on our side ADP than they are on others. Marquise Brown's another one of these guys I have a hard time getting excited about drafting. I just think you're going to have to be patient with him and hope that Kyler comes back. And maybe the pass offense won't be as bad as I think. But I view Brown as more like a number 4 wide receiver that I'm not drafting probably until round 8. Evans is fine in that round 7, round 6 even range. But I understand why people are scared of Baker Mayfield too.
All right. Don't be afraid of a commercial break. We're going to take one really quickly here, come back, give you the news and notes. And we're planting our flag in a little bit. We're going to take some big stances, and we're going to plant our flag and stand by them. And we'll be right back. What are you laughing at, Heath Cummings?
I'm just getting ready. I need to look at the notes here and figure out what I'm planting a flag on. So I know, but I don't even know what flag I need to plant.
All right, we'll figure it out.
I will.
Josh Jacobs should be a first rounder. Bam, flag planted.
Man, I hate you. No, you don't get to plant any flags. I scrolled down in the notes. I saw what your flag was. And I'm taking it away from you. It's an embarrassment. Do not do it.
I'm fine with it, man. We gotta have fun.
Do not do it. It's really bad.
There's 2 flags that I planted. Did you see both of them?
They're both terrible.
You're gonna hate both of them.
They're both hot garbage.
All right,
that's my flag.
Romeo Doubs is still dealing with a hamstring injury. Jamie, they're at Chicago. Should be a nice matchup in Week 1. Jaden Reed sleeper, or what do we think? You think Doubs is gonna play? Do we know anything? Or what do you think?
From what I saw last week, the answer was no. I actually dropped him a couple spots just because I'm scared of hamstring injuries and if they're going to linger. So at this point, I would anticipate him not playing. So yes, Jaden Reed would absolutely be a sleeper in Week 1.
Okay. Kadarius Toney and cornerback L'Jarius Sneed are going to play for the Chiefs in Week 1. They get Detroit on Thursday. So listen, Kadarius Toney ready for Week 1. We talked about Sutton, Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Zay Flowers. Where's Kadarius Toney in that group?
If you're talking about, I don't think you should start Kadarius Toney with any confidence at all. I think he is somebody that you start as a flex Week 1.
I'm sorry, Heath. I meant
you just mean draft wise.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's right in that mix, and I think it comes down to: are you drafting your 4th receiver with 3 really solid guys ahead? Or do you have a Terry McLaurin or a Jerry Jeudy, and you're trying to find somebody to help you early in the season? I don't have a lot of confidence in what Toney's going to be at all, but he has more upside, I think, than Sutton.
You did a few drafts, Adam. I don't remember at what point where you had. I know two times it stood out to me where you had a Burks, somebody else, and Toney. This was before the McLaurin and Jeudy injury, so I don't think it was one of those guys. But you had 2 of those guys on your roster. There was a definite third. And I remember saying to you, like, wow, you're taking a lot of risk here. But that's, again, if you're willing to, sort of manage through the beginning portion of the season. I don't know if there's any leagues that were playing out, but beginning portions of the season, and get to the middle to the end, it could be really good.
Yeah, well, look, there's no buys until week 4, right? So if these guys, especially if you're in a 2-receiver league, and Traylon Burks is practicing now, so he might actually play in week
Well,
1.
this was when Burks was still hurt.
Yeah, like you don't need these guys to be ready for week 1. Traylon Burks, Kadarius Toney. So Kadarius Toney will be ready for week 1, but you're not going to start him most likely in week 1. But I hope there's some real leagues, because I think Traylon Burks, after that injury, his ADP just really sunk. We haven't really talked about him.
No, his ADP sunk when Hopkins signed.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But I feel like after the injury, it was just like it was just an understandable reaction. Not only did Hopkins sign, but now he's hurt. But he could be a steal late. He's one of the last guys. I mean, agree or disagree. Traylon Burks is one of the last guys you can get that has serious upside.
Yes, for sure. He's in that range of the guys that you mentioned, but in some cases goes after them. And Heath has alluded to this before. Hopkins is not young, and if he misses any time, we could still see him in the exact same role that we were hoping him to be prior to the trade, or prior to signing. Excuse me. That he's the number one guy in offense. That might surprise us. We do have a new coordinator there. We're expecting Mike Vrabel's system to be Mike Vrabel's team to run the same offense, but it's a new coordinator, so that could change a little bit. Yeah, Burks is great. I actually had one draft. It's kind of funny. I drafted Burks and it was a mistake, but I drafted Burks over Garrett Wilson in a league where you can keep these guys forever. So stupid me last year. Drafted Traylon Burks and did not keep him because you only keep 4 players. And then I got him back in the same keeper round this year. So I'm hoping next year's the year.
Nice. Okay, what else we got here? Sean McVay, or not Sean McVay. I do have that one too. Except, yeah, all right. Detroit offense. Let's do this one first. Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson said they might use Jahmyr Gibbs in some ways that people don't think we might. All right, he's a 3rd-round pick. So, and by the way, did my Chiefs Lions research too. The Kansas City Chiefs have been the top 5 or bottom 5, if we want to look at this stat, in most receiving yards per game allowed to running backs.
Yep.
In at least 5 consecutive seasons. Every year they struggle against pass catching running backs. Sean McVay, here it is. He expects rookie wide receiver Puka Nacua to be an immediate contributor. And Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic thinks that Van Jefferson will be the number 1 wide receiver while Cooper Kupp is out. Heath, where do you draft Van Jefferson and or Puka Nacua?
After round 12 for either. Puka before Van Jefferson has been my default. There's probably a little higher floor with Van, but the floor is so low that you wouldn't want to start either one of them there if they're in that range. So like if Cooper Kupp's going to miss significant time, then you just avoid the Rams.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't think there's any appeal to having the number 1 receiver for Matthew Stafford, whoever it might be, and get you 10?
I do, as long as that person is Cooper Kupp.
Okay. Deion Jackson is expected to start week 1 for the Colts. Zach Moss could be back soon, but he's not likely to be back for week 1, maybe week 2 for Zach Moss. Daniel Popper of The Athletic thinks that Josh Palmer will be the Chargers' number 3 wide receiver to start the season, which we've talked about. But he also thinks that Josh Kelly will be the number 2 running back to start the season. And we really never talk about a handcuff for Austin Eckler. Do you think if Eckler were to miss time, there would be a Chargers running back that would be a must start, or even a number 2 running back? I mean, I'll probably start
Kelly.
Yeah, I'd rather start Kelly over like Deion Jackson if Eckler was out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have Kelly ranked in the like Tyjae Spears range, like in the 50s.
Dallas signed their right tackle Terrence Steele to a 5-year, $86.8 million deal. They are at the Giants on Sunday night. Saints wide receiver Traquan Smith is out for week 1, and Rashid Shaheed is still nursing a groin injury, and they get Tennessee in week 1. And Seattle safety Jamal Adams is out for week 1. Cornerback Devin Witherspoon seems unlikely to play as well. And the Seahawks said it. They stunk against tight ends. Terrible last year. No Cooper Kupp most likely in week 1. Where do you think you'll rank Tyler Higbee for week 1?
10 to 12.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 to 15.
Thinking Jake Ferguson against the Giants or Higbee against the Seahawks?
Higbee for me.
Higbee, but they'll be very close.
Okay. All right, let's plant some flags. We landed on the moon. We go plop that thing right in there. Who wants to go first?
You gotta go first.
Get your terrible hot garbage out of the way.
I actually just figured out another one that you're probably going to disagree with, but it's not really as controversial as the first two. All right. First one, Anthony Richardson will be hot garbage for fantasy. I planted that flag Wednesday during the draftathon. I will stick with it. Actually, I put up a Twitter poll earlier today, and I just want to see results. What did you vote for? Great.
Of course.
All right. I said, I don't like feeling so differently about a player compared to my colleagues. I'm not an Anthony Richardson guy. Curious how you feel. How will Anthony Richardson do in fantasy this season? I gave four answers, four options: bad, decent, good, and great. Decent has 50% of the vote. Good has 28.7%. Bad, 13%. Great has 7.7%. Now, if I were voting in that poll, I would say decent. I know hot garbage.
You just said hot garbage. That's not decent.
All right, I should probably change it. Anthony Richardson will be droppable in fantasy.
Now can we qualify this?
Sure.
You did drop Justin Fields last year, right before he averaged 34 points per game.
And dropped Justin Jefferson.
So
you gave me the approval. You approved.
That's a different standard. What I don't get, because I understand completely being anti-Anthony Richardson, thinking he's going to be a bad NFL quarterback, thinking he's not ready to pass in the NFL. I don't know how you can look at like data set after data set after the guys who ran the ball at least 100 times, guys who rushed for at least 700 yards, guys who and think that he's going to be the guy. Like Justin Fields threw for 149 yards per game last year and was QB7. I don't know why people think that I don't think Anthony Richardson is a good passer means he's not going to be good for fantasy. They are not related.
He is not. No, he and Justin Fields, I don't think they're related. No, I get it. I get it. But I think he's going to be such a bad passer. What I really think is that he is going to have some very, very good weeks. And I think he's going to have some terrible weeks. And you are pretty much never going to know when they're coming. And he's going to be so frustrating. And people are going to pull their hair out trying to figure out Anthony Richardson and when to start and when to sit him. And the matchups really just won't matter. I think he has a very untalented team. They might be, the Cardinals really like they're the worst, but they might be the second worst team in football.
Better receivers, the Colts or the Giants?
The Giants. And I would say, because you talk with Waller included, the Giants. Better receiving core with Barkley and Waller, better receiving core, definitely the Giants.
Get to your terrible Giants take too, Homer.
Hold on. Don't forget Justin Fields was hot garbage as a rookie. That's the last thing I'd say. My Giants take is that the Giants are going to have a good offense.
I just can't wait until we're sitting here in December and you're eating those words.
It could be week 2. It could be September. I understand the upside. Go ahead and draft him. I would draft him if he were ever around in any of my leagues. I would draft Anthony Richardson. You shouldn't be so arrogant as to only draft based on what you think. You've got to allow for the possibility that you're wrong. But you guys take him as a top 10 quarterback every league I'm in, so I'm never drafting him with you. My second plant your flag is that the Giants offense will be pretty good. Parentheses after week 1 against the Cowboys. They probably won't be that good against the Cowboys. But I think they're going to surprise you, Heath. Specifically you.
What qualify pretty good? Above average?
Yeah, they're going to be something like 10th to 12th in scoring. They're going to be good. They're going to be a good offense.
Are we counting Wink's defensive points?
No, offensive scoring.
Yeah.
They have a really good offensive mind as their offensive coordinator, and they schemed guys open so effectively last year. And they just, I think that they hit a home run with Dable and Kafka.
They threw the ball 29 times a game.
Yeah, they're throwing a lot.
Threw 15 passing touchdowns on the season.
Where do they finish in scoring? I wonder.
I don't think it was top 12.
No, but it probably wasn't that low.
I'll say 18.
They were 16th in scoring last year, so this isn't even that bold of a call. But I just
well, their schedule is considerably harder than it was last year.
Yeah, and that's a problem. But I think they're going to be better.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you have hope and optimism. And I think it's a lot like Bears fans 6 years ago, but that turned out okay.
Was that after Matt Nagy's first year?
Matt Nagy shade.
No, I get it. I can't sit here and say you're crazy for feeling that the Giants aren't going to be good offensively, because it's hard to trust Daniel Jones. But I just they're going to throw the ball more. That's for sure. Jamie,
Well, I mean, the thing that Daniel Jones did well last year, he cut down on turnovers.
Yeah.
He looked more competent, and now he's got better weapons. I mean, you take away Richie James, and you look. Nobody expected Wandale and Shepard to be ready, and Jalen Hyatt and Darren Waller. I mean, those are upgrades.
Unfortunately, you didn't mention the guys who are the top 2 wide receivers in targets, probably.
Wide receivers, but they might be 3rd and 4th on the team in targets. I mean, Waller's going to lead the team in targets, and I think Barkley is probably 2nd. Anyway, 3rd one is this, and this was inspired by the Treylon Burks discussion earlier. Tennessee will not be bottom 10 in pass attempts. They are bottom 5 every single year. They're going to throw the ball more than they ever have under Vrabel, more than they've done in a long time, Titans.
And what is your rationale for that? The receiving core, a Derrick Henry injury,
I got a lot.
Bad offensive line, a bad defense.
First of all, they signed DeAndre Hopkins. Secondly, they fired their GM last year, and they've been a pretty successful franchise, you'd have to say. I think they realize they can't win like this. They realize, and they've drafted a quarterback in 2 straight drafts, too. They realize that they are playing 1950s football, and it's time for them to revolutionize a little bit. So I think they're going to open it up and throw more. Straighten up and fly right, I'd say.
Look, like I said, Tim Howard, I believe, is the offense coordinator. That was with DeAndre Hopkins in Houston, and I think the GM situation was more just a power struggle between Mike Vrabel and I forget his name, who was there.
Too.
So we'll see. But look, Tannehill was very good when he had receivers. Not great, but good.
Yeah, I also don't think Henry's going to be as good. He's not. I don't think he's the same guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably your best flag plant, the most likely to not get blown over by the wind. But Anthony Richards bad, Derrick Henry bad,
no,
Ryan Tannehill good, Daniel Jones good, right?
Way bad. I didn't say Derrick Henry bad. He's just not going to rush for 2,000 yards. He's 29 years old. How much can you really run him 350 times this year? I think they have to be a little bit more diverse offensively. They got O'Connell.
They'll try.
And Hopkins.
I think it's your best one.
Thank you. That's what a nice compliment. All right. Heath's been working on his backhand this weekend. All right, we'll take a break. You ready to plant a flag?
Sure.
Okay. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today. Okay, Heath, let's do it. Plant something.
Miles Sanders is going to be a top 10 running back this year. He's going to be the Josh Jacobs of 2023. 275 plus carries, 50 plus catches, plays a full 17 games, finishes as a top 10 running back.
Ridiculous.
I mean, that's the thing is, and so I do this sometimes. I think people think it's ridiculous, but he was like 13th last year, so it actually isn't probably outlandish enough. But
he's never been top 20 per game. Maybe he was 20th. Sanders has never finished higher than 20th per game. This is very surprising. No, I didn't mean it is. I was just trying to play the Heath Adam thing there and say it was ridiculous. It's a good flag plant. Jamie, any response? Good.
I think if he stays healthy, there's a shot at this. But you're asking him to do this on what could be a very bad team. And the thing that's making me a little nervous, twofold, that's making me a little nervous about Miles Sanders. The offensive line I thought was going to be an underrated one and be a little bit more productive, and it's looked a little shaky in the preseason. And Bryce Young's looked a little shaky in the preseason. And so if you have those two things working against him, that's clearly going to be a negative. I do think we're going to see a better pass catcher from a better production from him in the pass catching role than we have since his rookie campaign. And, we've talked about that a lot with Deuce Staley being reunited, with the two of them being reunited. And that clip that made the rounds, if you didn't get excited about that as a Miles Sanders guy, I don't know what you're doing. When Frank Reich and the GM there said, hey, you want to catch the ball again? Whatever the phrasing was. So he's a very good number 2 running back. I top 10 would be a stretch, but what I'll probably say in a few minutes, Heath might disagree with as well. So I think Miles Sanders has a shot, sure.
Heath, another flag?
Jahan Dotson will be the second best second-year wide receiver this season. The number 1 for Washington, and Garrett Wilson will be the only second-year guy that's better than Dotson. I think we saw in the last 5 weeks last year, he kind of pulled even with McLaurin in terms of target share. I think even when they're both healthy, Dotson will be the number 1 in this offense. He's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's got the route running. He's a true number 1 wide receiver.
Is that it, or do you have more?
That was all I had on Jahan Dotson.
No.
I mean, I just found out like 6 minutes ago that I was doing this. So,
that's interesting. I'm pretty sure I sent an email. Didn't I send an email with this earlier today?
You did.
You might have yeah. I apologize for not checking my email on Sunday of Labor Day weekend. I should have been looking for that.
Me? All right,
definitely should have been looking for that.
I'll text it next time. That's fine. You don't need to do 3. I was only going to do 2.
I'll come up with a third by the time Jamie's done.
Jamie, plan it.
I got 3. First one, I said this earlier this week. We're going to have 3 quarterbacks run for 1,000 yards this season. One will be breakout candidate.
Predictions.
Huh?
These are bold predictions. There's a very big difference between bold predictions and planning.
No, this is 3 quarterbacks that you want to draft. So they'll okay. I don't know what the difference is.
Well, I think what is the difference? You're right. Well, first of all, the difference is bold predictions are tried and true, have been around for a while. Plant your flag, I invented last week, and I'm still workshopping it. But
so these are 3 quarterbacks that you want to draft.
You did not invent plant your flag.
Well, from a fantasy perspective, I definitely did.
No.
What I'm saying is, TM. What I'm saying is, this is. I feel like you truly believe this is going to happen. Whereas predictions is like, let's just have some fun.
I do believe this is going to happen.
Okay, go ahead.
We've only had in NFL history 4 times where a quarterback has run for 1,000 yards. We're going to get 3 guys that do it this season. One is going to be breakout candidate Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. One is going to be a guy that did it last year in Justin Fields, and one is going to be the guy that's only done it. That one is the only guy who has done it twice in his career, in Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I'm sure I didn't invent plant your flag, but any other flags?
Yes. J.K. Dobbins will be a top 10 running back this year.
Do you have Dobbins or Sanders?
I've always been a Dobbins guy. I think you can understand that.
I think I'll recall that. Yeah. All right. That's cool. You got another one or?
Yes. We're going to have 2 rookie tight ends finish as top 10 fantasy tight ends in Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta.
Okay. So I don't think you should be on the bold prediction show, because I believe these are also your bold predictions.
I can call it those if you like.
In the private chat we've got here, plant your flag is to bold predictions as bust list is to avoid list.
It's so funny. It's like, I really felt there's a huge difference between the avoid list and the bust list. And Jamie also felt that way, but we felt the exact opposite about the avoid list. It was like, Jamie's like, oh, the avoid list is much worse than the bust list. And I'm like, oh, that's definitely not how I felt about it at all. So
if you are avoiding something, you are avoiding it. I don't know how that's the big difference.
It's the reason.
I thought about that, and like Jameson Williams would be on my avoid list because I'm just not drafting him ever.
Oh. No, it's the reason you're avoiding. The bust list is. Someone's put it perfectly. To me, the avoid list is it's not you, it's me. It's like, I don't really like this player.
So Anthony Richardson.
I mean, one of the reasons I don't like Anthony Richardson, again, because you guys have him as QB9. When he's QB 16 in ADP, I'm not going to call him hot garbage.
But which quarterbacks that we have ranked ahead of guys that you like better?
Watson, Tua, Cousins for sure.
I told you that I moved Tua ahead of Richardson.
Okay, so you have him 10th then. Watson, Tua, Cousins for sure. After that, you want to take him ahead of Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. Fine. Jared Goff is a perfect example of a player who's on my avoid list and not my bust list. I really don't think he's going to be a bust at QB 15. That's not a bad ADP for him or whatever. It's right around there. I never draft Jared Goff. I think he has the least amount of upside of any quarterback going in his range. So I just avoid him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not a bust. That is absolutely not a bust.
Right. So you're avoiding him. You're not.
No, he's
drafting
being
him.
drafted. I think that maybe is the qualifier is busts are drafted early enough to be busts. Avoid guys are guys who are going late, but you still don't draft them.
No.
That's a great way to put it.
Maybe in your mind, but I don't know. Back to plant your flag, Heath. You got a third one?
No.
Okay. Good show. Wacky Sunday night show. Enjoy your holiday, everybody. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday with, I don't know. Schaefer, what's on Tuesday? Bold predictions?
Waiver wire.
Not
Tuesdays.
waiver wire.
It's week 1. Week 1 waiver wire.
I will have a hybrid ADP / waiver wire show for a column for tomorrow. So for those of you that drafted already, you'll see guys that are waiver wire ads.
Also, I'm not on the Tuesday show, so I'm not sure why I'm even commenting. I have no say in it at all.
That's a good point. We got to make our NFL predictions too at some point. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. Did you know, Heath?
Yeah.
That Saquon Barkley's incentives, you remember he signed the franchise? He doesn't get the incentives unless the Giants make the playoffs. Did you know that?
That was good negotiating on their part. Well, I think that's probably a salary cap thing, because there are certain incentives that if they are very likely to be reached, they count against the cap when you sign the player. And so if you put qualifications in there to make them unlikely to be reached, they don't count against the cap. And so they probably added that playoff provision to make it unlikely to be reached because they didn't think it was likely the Giants to make the playoffs.
All right. I think I've had enough on that note. We'll talk to you on Tuesday on Fantasy Football Today.